Welcome to study session 14. Application of economic concepts in education 1. Introduction. You have been taught ordinary economic concepts without much attention to their application. In this study session and subsequent study sessions, we will learn how to apply some of the basic concepts in economics can be applied in education. We will also concern ourselves with the application of the concept of demand. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to apply the following economic concepts to educational problems and issues. Demand, price or cost, opportunity cost, income or economic return. Economics concept of education. Demand for education is the willingness of the society or the individuals to expend a fixed monetary outlay on a particular type of education or training, even at the risk of losing alternative opportunities. The factors that affect the demand for education are as follows: the price of education, the price of alternative, price of complementary educational goods and services, goods and services opportunities, price of substitutable ventures, income of consumers, and taste and preferences of consumers. We shall now discuss these above stated factors, one after the other. The price of education. The price of education can otherwise be said to be the cost price of education. This cost price can be viewed from two sides, and these are from the side of the supplier of education and from the side of those consuming the educational services, consumers. So far, education is a social service. It is provided by the society, and in this third millennium, it is also provided by the individuals as well. The cost prices of education do affect the quantity of education to be demanded by the public. If the price of education is not affordable by the masses, there would definitely be a reaction negatively in the quantity of education that will be demanded, and vice versa. For example, assuming that a country has 10 million naira to spend on education, while it costs 10,000 naira to train a child, this implies that the society will be able to provide education for only 1,000 children. If, on the other hand, it costs only 5,000 naira to educate a child, the country will be able to educate 2,000 children. This then means that the higher the cost of education to the society, the lower will be the quantity of education demanded by its citizens. The price of alternative opportunity. There is 1,001 available alternative opportunity to getting educated, and among such is to be a trader or be employed on the government job. If the sacrifice or the opportunity cost for education is too high, the society or the individual may decide to drop the idea of investing on education. Assuming that you are earning 8,000 naira per month and you are asked to forego your present salary in order to be educated. If job opportunity is limited in this era of worldwide unemployment, will you be willing to resign your appointment in order to further your education? Your answer is likely to be a no. Therefore, the higher the price of the alternative opportunity or the opportunity cost, the lower the demand for education and vice versa. The price of complementary educational goods and services. There are some items that serve as a complement to successful education, and these are books, uniform, writing materials, hostel accommodation, laboratory equipment, and so on. If the prices of these complementary educational goods and services are higher, the demand for education will be lower and vice versa. Price of substitutable ventures. There are divergent views about substitutes to education, whereas some people believe that ignorance is the only alternative. Others believe that trading, farming, and so on are alternatives to education. However, if a substitute exists, the lower the price of such substitute, the lower the demand for education. since demand will shift from education to the available cheaper alternative. For example, one close substitute to university education through traditional routes is a distance learning program. If the price of the distance learning program is relatively low, then demand for university education will shift from the regular internal degree to the distance learning program. Consequently, more people will be willing to acquire university education through distance learning method, particularly when the sacrifice for distance learning in terms of opportunity forgone is very low. Income of consumers. The income received by the society as well as that of the individual consumers of education will determine the demand for education. A subsistence economy may not be able to support a large quantity of education because individual savings margin will be too low, whereas if the income of the individual is high, he will be able to spend more money to educate himself and his children. In essence, higher income will lead to increased demand for education, even though the cost of education remains the same over the period. Tastes and preferences of consumers. The taste of an individual differs, and likewise, there are differences in the taste of one society from another. In fact, there are differences in preferences of one individual from another. Some individuals prefer to pay the school fees of their wards rather than to buy clothes, jewelry, and so on. And to some other parents, it is vice versa. There exist variations among individuals as far as tastes and preferences for education are concerned. Therefore, the higher the taste, the higher the demand for education. Also, the higher the preference for education, the higher the demand for such education. Study session summary. In this study session, we discuss the demand for education as the willingness of the society or the individuals to expend a fixed outlay on a particular type of education or training, even at the risk of losing alternative opportunities. We also explained the factors influencing the demand for education and finally defined opportunity costs of education. End of study session 14. Thanks for listening.